Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day. Oh, my goodness. Well, it is a beautiful day, too, is it not? And many of us came last night to watch the movie It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Tom Hanks movie about the story of Mr. Rogers. And it wasn't until I had no idea what the movie was going to be about other than Mr. Rogers. And afterward, one of the people came up and said, "Oh, wow, this was so fitting that you had this for Father's Day weekend. It was so appropriate." And so I didn't know what to expect, but I totally agreed with them at that point. Yes, absolutely right. And so I looked up a little bit of information that I wanted to share with you this morning. How many of you have not seen the movie? Okay, all right, a few of you. And but it was in 1998 that writer Tom Junod, J-U-N-O-D, Junard, I don't know how to say his name, was assigned to profile Rogers for a special issue of Esquire magazine. The theme, American Heroes. Surprising to many, Junod and Rogers developed a relationship even after the profile was completed and remained friends until Rogers passed away in 2003. And yet the movie seems, this is a quote from Junard, "And yet the movie seems like a culmination of the gifts that Fred Rogers gave me and all of us, gifts that fit the definition of grace because they feel, at least in my case, undeserved." And so they were friends from 1998 until Rogers' death in 2003. And I wanted to share a little bit more about the background of Rogers. I didn't realize this, and they don't really specify it too much in the movie, but Rogers eventually earned a degree in divinity studies and worked as a Presbyterian minister, while also attending the University of Pittsburgh to get an advanced degree in child development. The knowledge and skills he gained from his various educational pursuits equipped him with an adept mixture of abilities that would help him eventually go on to create Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Rogers' personal experiences also contributed to the warmth he brought to the show. Having a rough childhood, overweight, shy, and often bullied, Rogers eventually overcame that stage, but it was this difficult experience that made him well-suited to teach children the importance of compassion and empathy for others. Working behind the scenes in television for a long time, it took Rogers some convincing to make the jump to star in his own show. But in an interview, he said he finally felt a sense of wholeness once he realized his true passion. "I was not just a songwriter or a language buff or a student of human development or a telecommunicator, but someone who could use every talent that I had ever been given in the service of children and their families," Rogers said. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood aired over 800 episodes, with Roger as the creator, showrunner, and host. The last episode of the hit TV show aired in 2001. Just 2 years later, Rogers died of stomach cancer. And so as we watch the days of our lives as they progress and the things that we do when we look back at our history, I mean, he had his training in divinity, and then he did telecommunications, and just little by little by little in child development, all of that just blended together, into his recognition that this is how I can use all my talents. And each of us have that kind of life story of our own. And I honestly believe that God does work in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. I'm going to make a confession. I told you that I would have all my paperwork in order by the first day of summer, which is, I think, today. I worked diligently at it yesterday. I'm not done, but I got a lot accomplished, a lot. And what it amazed me, you see, I started this ministry. I started as a minister in 2002, and I saved stuff. Do you know that I had a stack? When you come in and you fill out your little information sheet, that blue sheet? I had every blue sheet. The stack was, I don't know, a foot or more high. And so I had to stand there and shred every one of these. But it took me back memory lane when I would see somebody's name and I'd see the date, they first came to church. And I felt a little bit like Mr. Rogers in a way, in that I see these names and I think, wow, I become friends with that person. When they signed this piece of paper, they were a stranger to me. And over the years, I've been able to glean friendships from many of those people. It also amazed me when I got to thinking about how God does work in mysterious ways. I had no idea when I graduated from my ministerial training, which I took through Emerson Institute. Reverend Dr. Marilyn Hall was my teacher. 2-year program. I graduated from that program. And the month I graduated from that program, the minister that we had at this church decided he wanted to go elsewhere and start another church. And I was not ready. I didn't think that it was going to be me to step up to the platform, but I was the one. I had to not do it. I had to try it anyway. And it was not an intentional thing, conscious thought on my part that I'm going to become a minister. I mean, yes, I was taking ministerial only because I just love to take classes. And again, I have saved every piece of paper of every class I've ever taken. And the challenge is, what do I do with it? That was then, this is now. For posterity's sake, is anybody really ever going to care? Are they ever going to look at this? Should I just pitch it now and be done with it? That's my quandary, and that's why I need help from a professionals like Sylvia, who can come over and help me sort out, what I can do to keep things or not keep things. But why I'm comparing this is because each of us, I'm not unusual, I'm usual. I'm a person just like everybody else. And all of us have this path of life that we take, the journey that we take, the things that we do. And it is a mysterious thing for most of us. I imagine that many of us at our time we're doing something have no idea to recognize what the bigger picture looks like of our life down the road a piece. And just like Mr. Rogers, who became Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he had a tough childhood. And that tough childhood was helping prepare him, giving him that experience that he could feed from and feed others from later on. How many times in our lives have we had a trying situation that taxes us, that makes us pull something up from within us that's greater than what we think we are at the moment? Many times. We all have that. As I wrote in the thought for the week, Father Knows Best was one of the shows that I watched, as I growing up, and that it always had the drama, some sort of an issue, and then Father would come in and give the wisdom at the end to sort it all out. Our lives are like that, aren't they? We have all of these dramas, all of these perplexities, all of these questions, and yet there is a Father within us, waiting for us to ask for the guidance. It is the Father's goodwill, I believe, to have us have the kingdom. He's given us the kingdom. It's right here. We need to accept it. We need to recognize that this divine energy is right here. The will of God is always for the best. But we need to align with it. We need to acknowledge it. We need to become one with it. Joan Baez said, "You don't get to choose how you're going to die or when. You can only decide how you're going to live now. That's what we get to decide, is how are we going to live right now? And I believe that when the right and perfect time comes, the right and perfect way comes, each of us will move on into the next existence in perfect and divine right order and timing. And all of these precautions that we're taking now, socially, physically, being safe, is a consciousness that we're dealing with. And honestly, I believe everybody returns to their Maker in the right and perfect way and time. So it's a comfort, I believe, to know that this Father within is leading and guiding us at all times. Many times I have shared the Science of Mind magazine with you. This month, the Science of Mind magazine has a theme. They always have a theme. And the theme this month is Mindfulness for Mavericks. And the Mavericks are the Science of Mind people. We religious scientists are somewhat of mavericks, I think, in the religious world, because we do things maybe a little differently than others. But I wanted to share with you what, there's an article that's always at the very beginning, and it's written by Eugene Holden. He is a practitioner, and I just love him. He is spot on all the time. Well, here is his take on mindfulness for mavericks. It starts with being mindful. To be mindful is to be focused or conscious of something. Simply put, it is being aware of yourself and your surroundings. Practicing mindfulness is also about staying in the present moment. What we can do about our life and what we can do about it now. And then his affirmation is, in this moment, all my needs are met. In this moment, God is. I recognize and claim the all good of God in and as my life. And then the next segment is the nonconformist. Being a maverick, among other things, is to be a nonconformist. In other words, we are called to be aware of the divine in all things, no matter what the appearance might be. Wow. Everything has the divine, just like the beautiful song that Leslie sang. Everything is holy now. Everything's a miracle. All of this consternation and social injustice, social awareness is coming up for a reason. And we are here and equipped to be the ones to move through these growing pains, I believe. So his affirmation is, I know that God is all there is. I will not be moved by what seems to be going on around me. I am the light and love of God. And then the next segment says, trust love. As mindful mavericks, the most important thing we can do is to be mindful that love is the source of life. Trusting love is what we are here to do. Love never fails. And the affirmation is, I trust in the power of love. I know that I am the loving presence of the divine. Through me, through love, right action flows easily through my life. I am the love of God. And the last segment is be grateful. In all things, be grateful. Looking for things to be grateful for is a powerful practice of mindfulness. Start today to be mindful of the good in your life, the good that surrounds all life. His affirmation, I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for friends and family. I am grateful for the opportunity to be grateful. And it is so. Words that we can live by, that we can be guided by. I ask you today to go within and to seek that wisdom from the Father within. Whatever is going on around you, to go within and ask for that wisdom. And know that each of us, created in that image and likeness of the divine, is unique. Yes, we can look to others for guidance. We can ask for their opinion. We can and look and see what their examples are. But it is up to us to live our own assignment of life. Each of us is giving our own curriculum, individually, uniquely. And that's why we've been given that Father within to prepare us for each step along the way, living in the now, to being mindful for where am I at right here? What is the good I can see? What is the love that I can share now from my heart to others? Science of Mind, and it's so interesting, so several of the things that I found all of my mother-in-law's books that she did on all the religious science classes. Now, Pauline Beauregard was a unity minister, but she went through the Science of Mind classes because I have all of her booklets, all of her handwriting, of her notes that she took. And all of us are on our path of where am I being guided, where am I being led to bring more of my infinite self into expression on this earth plane. That's, to me, what our assignment is in life. That's what we've been given as a broad, big picture. And that each of us will do it our own perfect way, our own unique way. We believe that we move up through this ladder of spiritual maturity. Because many of us, like Mr. Rogers, and many of us as children had challenges, and that gives us results in our thinking and in our feeling that may not be the most beneficial. And so we in Science of Mind learn to sort out our beliefs. What is the belief that I have about this? Because I'm going to be living my belief. I'm going to be seeing in my experience what I believe. Not what I say I believe, but what I am believing. And so we take a look at being responsible. Saying, okay, this is in my life. What can I glean from it? What can I learn from it? How can I use it for my best advantage? The song that you were singing is that the miracles that Jesus did, turn the water into wine. And that's not just a little thing. There's many things that in this life that we take for granted. And I can't help but remember the little thing that was going around on the internet a little bit ago about Art Linkletter's show, where he had kids say the darndest things. And he had a little girl on there. It looks like she was maybe 7, 8 years old. And he was asking her what was her favorite miracle in the Bible. And she said was when Jesus turned the water into wine. And he said, oh, and what did you learn from that? And she said, I learned that when you run out of wine, you get on your knees and pray. And the mouths of babes. But we have within ourselves all that power that Jesus had. He knew it. He lived it. That was his purpose. He knew his purpose. Now, all of us haven't come onto this earth plane perhaps to have that same purpose. But we have the qualities and that energy within us that he had. And all we need to do is look and see what he did. He said, go within. Check it out. Ask the Father within, what is it that I am to do just this day? This moment, to be mindful is so important. To live in the now, that's all we have. I believe that we should take Holden's words to heart and to remember that we are this love in expression. And get to love and get to know ourselves as love. What would love do here? Love would be accepting. Love would be giving. That's what we have to do. One of the things that I found was a little affirmation that I had written several years ago. And I took it out and I taped it onto the mirror that's in my office. It says, "When I doubt my power, I give power to my doubt. When I trust my power, I let my power out." And some of you were here, I think, when that was passed out. When I doubt my power, capital P, I give my power to doubt. And when I trust my power, capital P, I let my power out. Let's let our power of love out this coming week in every way possible that we absolutely can. Go within and ask for guidance. Take the time for the intention that I am being divinely led by love, and that's what I am giving out always. Have a fabulous week. Love you. Namaste.